The American Civil War, 1861 to 1865, stands as a monumental turning point in global history, not merely for its devastating human toll, the bloodiest conflict on American soil, but for its profound and often overlooked transformation of warfare itself. Far from being a conventional conflict, it was in many respects the first truly modern war, marked by an unprecedented arms race, technological innovation, and strategic shifts that irrevocably altered the future of military engagement, particularly at sea. Beneath the waves, hidden from immediate view, lie the secrets of secret weapons, shocking surprises, and tales of raw courage that reveal this extraordinary chapter in naval history. The ability to now empty the oceans through advanced data and astonishing technology allows us to virtually drain away the water, unveiling the submerged secrets of the seafloor and bringing to life a lost world of groundbreaking naval combat. The impact of the war at sea on the overall trajectory of the conflict was far more significant than often acknowledged. While land battles raged across a vast 2,700-mile border, the naval conflict unfolded on rivers, lakes, and along the entire American coastline. Remarkably, over 2,000 Civil War wrecks have survived, each a submerged time capsule offering invaluable insights into this pivotal period. Among the most significant of these lies in the waters of Virginia, the site of a battle that sent shockwaves around the world and heralded a new age of naval power. In March 1862, the waters of Hampton Roads, Virginia, became the crucible for the first great naval encounter of the American Civil War. This stretch of water was a critical strategic point, situated between the Confederate capital of Richmond to the west and the Union capital of Washington, D.C. to the north. Consequently, it was a natural arena for a conflict that would define the very essence of naval warfare. The Confederates held much of Virginia, but on the northern side of Hampton Roads, a lone Union fortress housed a squadron of warships, including the USS Cumberland. Launched 2 decades prior, the Cumberland represented the pinnacle of contemporary naval design, sleek, fast, and armed to the teeth. At the time of her launch, she was considered the most powerful ship in the U.S. Navy. However, the evening of March 8th brought astonishing reports to the Union base. Eyewitnesses described a strange vessel bearing down on the Cumberland. In mere minutes, she disappeared, leaving behind the urgent questions: what sank her, and how? Through meticulous research by maritime archaeologists like James Delgado and historian Anna Gibson Holloway, utilizing multi-beam sonar to map the seabed in perfect 3D detail, the answer began to emerge. The data revealed a ghostly outline: the timbers and the more or less intact hull of the Cumberland, a solemn war grave. Combining these scans with powerful graphical software allowed for the reconstruction of the harrowing events of that day. The wreck revealed not just scattered cannon shot, but debris spread over 350 feet, indicating a force far more destructive than traditional artillery. The culprit was the CSS Virginia, the Confederacy's revolutionary ironclad. This ship was unlike anything seen before. Without sails, driven by steam, and covered entirely in metal. It was the first ever American ironclad, a truly terrifying sight. Witnesses described her as a horrid creature of a nightmare, bristling with weaponry, including 6 heavy cannon and 4 large rifled guns. The Union sailors could hear the taunts and the laughter inside the Virginia as the ironclad, seemingly impervious to their cannon fire, shots would bounce off her side, closed in. The Virginia deployed a tactic that harked back to ancient naval battles, a huge metal ram. This fearsome weapon, coupled with the ship's immense power and momentum, delivered a devastating blow. The impact was catastrophic, sending 121 men to their deaths as the Cumberland was torn apart. The Virginia then turned its guns on another Union warship, smashing it to pieces as well. This single engagement constituted the most decisive defeat for the Union Navy until Pearl Harbor. The battle sent an unequivocal message: the age of the wooden wall is over, and the age of iron had begun. The very type of ship that had dominated naval warfare for centuries was rendered obsolete in a matter of minutes. While the Confederacy was pioneering ironclad technology with the Virginia, the Union Navy was also secretly developing its own revolutionary vessel, the USS Monitor. This different kind of ironclad would meet the all-conquering Virginia in one of the Civil War's defining moments the day after the Cumberland's demise. The wreck of the USS Monitor, a legend of the Civil War, lies off Cape Hatteras, North Carolina, another testament to the transformative power of the conflict. The National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, NOAA, leads ongoing efforts to uncover the secrets of this groundbreaking warship, aiming to cut through the layers of wartime propaganda and reveal the unvarnished truth. Decades of meticulously gathered data, combined with advanced technology, allow us to digitally drain the Atlantic Ocean away and reveal the Monitor's last resting place. Emerging from the depths, the Monitor lies upside down, her hull in pieces, yet clearly made of metal with a thick belt of armor. The distinctive form of the iron armor belt is still there, a haunting silhouette of a revolutionary design. Its tip of the bow is sharply defined, marking the grave of the iconic warship of the American Civil War. To understand how the Monitor fought, maritime archaeologists have painstakingly recovered key parts, most notably the first gun turret ever used in combat. The recovery of this turret was an incredible undertaking, a literal time capsule providing invaluable insights. Analyzed at the Baton Conservation Laboratory in Virginia, the turret revealed astonishing specifications: 21 feet across, 9 feet high, and wrapped in 8 inches of armor, making it thicker than any other ship afloat, including the CSS Virginia. Laser scans of the turret show evidence of Confederate fire, but crucially, also proof that Monitor's armor keeps it out. Inside, 2 gun mounts confirmed its ingenious design. Computer graphics, using the recovered data, allow us to lift the Monitor's wreck from the seabed, turn her upright, and replace her turret, showcasing how this ingenious technology operated. The turret sat on a brass ring, allowing it to rotate 360 degrees. This instant maneuverability provided the Union sailors a massive advantage, especially when combined with the design that allowed one gun to fire while the other moved back inside the turret for reloading. This meant they could just switch between the guns, maintaining a continuous rate of fire. Comparing the Monitor to the Virginia, the Confederate ship initially appeared superior. Over 100 feet longer, with 10 huge guns compared to the Monitor's 2 and 4-inch thick steel armor, though her fearsome ram was lost after sinking the Cumberland. The Virginia seemed an overwhelming favorite. In contrast, the Monitor appeared puny. Yet she was faster, had even thicker armor on her turret, and her 2 guns, though fewer, were superbly maneuverable. The fateful encounter occurred on March 9, 1862. Lieutenant John Wardens commanded the Monitor, and his men faced the unknown. There was fear, but also the thrill of being on the cutting edge. Warden's turret guns followed the Virginia's every move, firing shot after shot. But the Virginia's armor held fast. The Monitor's shots bounced into the water. For 4 grueling hours, the Ironclads duke it out, neither able to land a decisive blow. A lucky shot from the Virginia finally struck the Monitor's pilot house, injuring Wardens and temporarily blinding him, causing sudden chaos on board. The Monitor withdrew for damage assessment. Upon her return, the battlefield was empty. The Virginia, also damaged, had returned to her base. Neither could figure out how to kill the other vessel, and the battle was likely a draw. However, by stopping the Virginia's destructive rampage, the Monitor became the most celebrated warship in the northern states, hailed as the ship that has saved the Union, an icon and symbol of national pride. The battle of these 2 metal monsters captivated the world, but they never fought again. 2 months later, as Union troops closed in on Virginia's home port, her own crew scuttled her to prevent capture. The Monitor's fate was more tragic. 9 months after her legendary duel, while being towed off Cape Hatteras, she sailed into a violent storm, the graveyard of the Atlantic. The waves badly damaged her structure, water rushed into her hull, and the sheer weight of her armor, ironically, contributed to her rapid sinking. What was meant to keep the Monitor crew safe could have been its ultimate undoing. Despite frantic rescue attempts, the Monitor took 16 men down with her. Nearly a century and a half later, Navy divers recovered the remains of 2 sailors from inside her turret, who were laid to rest with full military honors at Arlington National Cemetery, uniting a nation in remembrance of these men who had come back to us from the depths. The epic clash of the Ironclads undeniably pointed the way to the future of naval warfare. The Union Navy, recognizing the superiority of the new technology, rapidly built 64 new Monitor-class ships in the following 2 years. On the Confederate side, the drive for technological advantage pushed the concept of metal warships to an even more decisive and deadly extreme, leading to the development of the submarine. The shattered remains of another lost Union warship, the USS Husatonic, discovered outside Charleston Harbor, South Carolina, unveil the story of a terrifying new Confederate weapon. Maritime archaeologist Michael Scafuri has spearheaded investigations into this Civil War's greatest mysteries, driven by a desire to really understand what happened. Charleston, perceived as the heart and soul of the rebellion and its Black Heart, was a Confederate stronghold in February 1864, under blockade by a Union squadron of 20 warships, including 6 ironclads, part of a strategy to economically strangle the South. The USS Husatonic, a wooden but steam-powered vessel and one of the Union's most heavily armed ships, was part of this blockade. On February 17th, at 8:40 p.m., the calm bay was shattered by a huge explosion. The Husatonic was gone, with the only clue being eyewitness reports of a dark shape moving in the water. Visibility in these turbulent waters is almost zero, making underwater photography incredibly difficult. However, powerful sonar probes of the seabed, combined with historical salvage records and survey data, allowed researchers to virtually drain away the Atlantic and uncover the iconic wreck. The remains of the Husatonic revealed little obvious damage from the ravages of time. However, by digitally rebuilding the Husatonic to its original state, a critical detail emerged: a hole in the hull deep below the waterline. This was highly unusual for an era where cannonballs typically shattered masts or punched holes above the waterline. The search for what caused this fatal wound led archaeologists on a century-long quest. Finally, about 1,000 feet from the Husatonic wreck, they found it: the remains of the Confederacy's first operational submarine, the H.L. Hunley. This was the metal monster that had taken the Husatonic down. At the Warren Lash Conservation Center in Charleston, Michael Scafuri and his team meticulously examined every inch of the Hunley, treating the investigation like a crime scene. The Hunley was a product of the urgent technological demands of the Civil War. One of the first questions was its propulsion. There was no sign of an engine, but they found a wrought iron crank, the means by which the submarine was moved. A crew of 8 men hand-cranked a flywheel, which then moved a series of mechanisms connected to the propeller. Another crucial question was how the crew breathed underwater. With no evidence of any air refreshing system, the 8 men crammed into this metal tube had to rely solely on the air already inside. Calculations revealed there was only enough oxygen for just 2 hours, severely limiting its operational range and making its missions incredibly dangerous. Finally, the most important question: how did this hand-cranked, short-range submarine manage to ambush and destroy such a powerful enemy? Inside the Hunley, there was no sign of a conventional weapons system. But outside, the clues were everywhere. The key was the spar, a 16-feet-long spar, attached to the bow of the submarine, the lower part of the submarine. This spar would have held an explosive charge, a torpedo, designed to be rammed into the enemy ship's hull, detonating upon impact. The Hunley's successful attack on the Husatonic was a groundbreaking, albeit terrifying, demonstration of asymmetrical naval warfare and the potential of underwater combat. The American Civil War, though a conflict born of internal strife, became a crucible for military innovation. The rise of the Ironclad, culminating in the epic duel between the Monitor and the Virginia, and the terrifying emergence of the submarine, exemplified by the H.L. Hunley, irrevocably changed naval warfare. These secret weapons and their dramatic stories, now revealed through advanced archaeological techniques, underscore the profound and lasting legacy of a war that not only defined a nation, but also fundamentally reshaped the future of global military strategy. The secrets lost beneath the waves for so long now surface, offering a compelling narrative of raw courage, technological ingenuity, and the relentless human drive for advantage in times of conflict.